Hi, I'm Christian Campbell. I'm going to be giving a presentation on terrorism and its effects on Islam. So the question we were asked is to think about whether terrorism can provoke citizens into an overreaction in their day-to-day social behaviors and or in their preferred mode of expressing their political opinions and demands. I took this in the perspective of how did 9/11 and subsequent events lead to a rise in Islamophobia and how greatly it led to societal change discrimination against Muslims. So a little background is going to pre-9/11 Islamophobia. It can date back to history throughout the entire world, especially back to the Crusades, when Christians tended to take back the Middle East from um, Islamic people who took it over at the moment. While being the second most prominent religion worldwide, it faces the most discrimination in the Western world overall. And pre-9/11 studies have shown that most Muslims have experienced more Islamophobia even before, as I said, 9/11. These studies show that of all religions, Muslims still have the highest chance of facing discrimination at the highest frequency and proportion of any religion. So the main issue facing this is the terrorist attacks of 9/11. During 9/11 attacks of the perpetrators broadcast over the entire world. Due to the media's portrayal of the terrorists showing that they are Muslim, instantly people to associate all Muslims with the attacks. The attacks struck fear into the majority of Americans in the world overall. After the attacks, behavior towards all Muslims changed overnight. All forms of Islamophobia virtually doubled overnight due to the attacks. Overall, just really fear of Muslim people, the Muslim religion, and Middle Eastern people in general just doubled during after 9/11 because it was a quite traumatic incident for a lot of America overall and the whole world overall. So after 9/11, the United States' response to it was to form the Department of Homeland Security to deal with future threats, the TSA for protection on planes, and the Patriot Act to investigate and preeminently deal with terrorist issues through the internet, phones, communication. They were formed with the idea of national safety, but were extremely biased to people Middle Eastern descent and Muslims, and often just causing more issues for Muslims and violating the rights of Muslim Americans. While the intentions of these acts were out of national safety, they really were just violating the individual rights of Muslims overall, and really led to a lot of people say changing their perspectives and mind and allowing like the government to violate the rights of these people. Really, just in their day-to-day activities now, really allowing them to not be really treated as a normal citizen. So some of the after effects of 9/11, as previously stated, after 9/11, hate crimes towards Muslims had a significant rise. As I said, they doubled overnight. In person, online, any way possible, they were vilified in person, in movies and in media, portraying Muslims as something more than terrorists want to blow us up and destroy America, and that was their only goal to really have. Even violence against other people of other faiths, such as Sikhs, experienced a rise when in reality they had nothing related to the incident overall. And even in certain countries in the world and the United States, anti-Muslim parties were forming. Overall, general populace seemed fine to either reject, isolate, or attack Muslims in day-to-day behavior. These terrorist attacks really led to a change in the minds of people that these people were all evil, all bad. They did not really have a place in the United States and should have all left, even though a lot of people have been here for generations, were born and raised Americans, who lost family in the incident. It was really a tragedy that had effects onto people that really led to them change. It really, as it was terrorism, it struck terror into the hearts of all Americans and led to a societal overhaul and change to an entire religion and ethnic people. So in the modern era, recent hate crimes towards Muslims have been again on a steady incline, especially after the election of Donald Trump into office, has led to a rise in over threefold of hate crimes dealt to them, with also a rise in white supremacists and xenophobia on the political spectrum, and people overall has really hurted them. And with events in the Middle East continuing and with ISIS has raised a negative perception of Muslims, continued xenophobia towards them, it's really just raised and stressed and inflamed all the issues that Muslims face day to day and the perception of them overall. When in reality, these are just extremist groups for the Muslim people overall. A good example is the Christchurch shooting in New Zealand, we spoke about in the first week. It was based in Islamophobia and xenophobia. It was really just the perspective of people wanting to get rid of Muslim people because they were scared of them and didn't know. So essentially this was a form of terrorism against Muslims, and leading terrorism against Muslims was becoming a perpetuating cycle of terrorism onto terrorism, from extremist groups, but in reality, people think it's the general populace of the people. So as you can see by this bar graph from the Pew Research Center, pre-2001, hate crimes toward Muslims were quite low. They still existed overall, but they were quite low. 2001, they went up the highest as it was the year of the incident. As time went on, they began to decline. However, there's been a resurgence specifically in the past 8 years. There's really been a rise in an implant of Islamophobia overall towards Muslim people, and it's just these are hate crimes that are not at all like simple. These are aggravated attacks, being kicked off of airplanes, and being attacked in public. It's really serious attacks onto people that this isn't something you would imagine happening in your day-to-day life. So a really big issue is the legacy of Islamophobia. So the group with the highest rate of experiencing Islamophobia is the youngest generation who want to live in the world post 9/11 overall. Basically anyone born during the event or after or a little bit before the event, they are born into a world only knowing the extremist levels of Islamophobia. They've experienced it since they were born. Their parents experienced it. They've experienced it their whole lives. They felt it from businesses such as American Airlines, who being kicked off from speaking Arabic on a plane, to being on just writing in Arabic or going with their hijabs onto a plane and experience that extreme Islamophobia, to being verbally harassed and attacked in public spaces and on buses. Specifically, after Donald Trump was elected, a lot of them experienced direct Islamophobia. Like he's gonna send you all back to your countries, even though they were born and raised in the United States. And so the place they face the most Islamophobia is on social media and on the internet. Just because it's behind a screen and people think they can do whatever they want, it really allows people to have, say, a freedom in their mind to insult or attack or degrade these people. They face this issue overall because people think these people are terrorists or they're going to become political extremists and switch into the most extreme format. In reality, they're just Americans also trying to live their life and succeed. And these are just people on the opposite of the political spectrum. So here's a list of the citations that I did, but overall, some more just to finish and summarize the entire thoughts of the presentation is the effects of 9/11 terrorism really had an impact on the American psyche overall to make Islamophobia something that is common-based and thought to be normal almost for people. That all Muslims are terrorists, all Muslims have the same mindset and want to destroy and destruct the US, really disrupting and changing their day-to-day images and really wanting to push these people out when they're here in America to better themselves, to help their future, help their children. They're also hardworking Americans with the same rights as everyone else. And it's really just an overall tragedy, just that this incident of terrorism really did its goal. It struck terror into the hearts of Americans and people worldwide. And it just exacerbated this issue of Islamophobia, really stressing it out and really causing Muslims to fear for their lives and fear for their safety and their children. And for a lot of Muslims, this has been their entire life since they were born. So it's really an issue that has caused issues for Muslims and for non-Muslims.